At 3amilay bleeding on the floor. My legs snapped, mouth full of blood. I begged Mom to stop my stepdad. She crossed her arms and sneered, "You should have signed a loan." I crawled to her feet for help, but what she whispered next. "Hi, I'm Daisy." At 3 a.m. I lay on the living room floor, my leg broken, blood dripping from my mouth, begging my mother to stop him. She didn't. She just watched. But that night wasn't the beginning. It was the breaking point, the truth. My mother erased me long before the bruises ever showed. She changed my birth certificate, stole my scholarship, told the world I was unstable. They believed her. Now I'm speaking for every daughter who was told to be quiet, to be grateful, to stay small. Why would a mother choose a man over her own child? Why would a family rewrite history and leave you out of the story? And how do you rebuild your life when the people who broke you still call it love? Let me tell you what happened. I woke up to the sharp taste of blood in my mouth and the sound of my own breathing, shallow, panicked, uneven. My cheek was pressed against the hardwood floor of the living room, cold and sticky beneath me, my left leg bent the wrong way, and when I tried to move, the scream that tore through me wasn't planned. It just escaped pain like I'd never known. And there she was, my mother. Vera stood at the entrance of the hallway, wrapped in a pale blue robe, like she'd just stepped out of bed, arms crossed, expression blank. The only movement was the slight sway of her slippered foot tapping gently against the carpet. "Mom," my voice cracked, "please." Dexter was still yelling, his voice bouncing off the walls like bullets ricocheting. I couldn't even remember what triggered it this time, something about money, something about me causing problems, and then the blow came a boot hard, straight to my ribs. I had cried out, fallen, and that's where I stayed. But still, I looked at her. Even after everything, I thought she'd stop him. That instinct doesn't die easily. The child inside me still remembered when she used to brush the knots out of my hair while humming Patsy Cline, the woman who'd once screamed when a bee landed on my shoulder and yanked me away so quickly I cried, not because I was stung, but because her panic scared me. She'd pulled me away from pain before. I believed she would do it again. She didn't move. Dexter stopped, chest heaving, wiping sweat from his brow, like it was just another job done. Then he turned and walked out of the room past her. Didn't say a word, didn't even look her in the eye. I lay there shaking, crying, and she stepped forward for a moment. I thought she was coming to help me. Her shadow fell across my face. She bent slightly, not kneeling, just enough so I could hear her whisper, "You should have just signed the loan, Daisy." Then she turned and walked away. I don't remember passing out, but when I opened my eyes again, there were paramedics. One knelt beside me asking questions I couldn't answer through the pain. Another one called out numbers I didn't understand. I caught a neighbor's face at the door, Mr. Kellerman from next door, his eyes wide, mouth tight. He didn't say anything, just watched as they lifted me onto a stretcher. The hospital lights were blinding. They always are, too clean, too white, too loud. In their own way, I drifted in and out of consciousness, catching pieces of conversation I didn't understand until I heard the unmistakable sound of heels. Hers, Vera's shoes had a rhythm, controlled, never rushed. She sat in the chair next to the bed as I came to no hug, no hand squeeze, just her voice flat and rehearsed. "You made things difficult for everyone. Again." I turned my head away. Back then, when I was 10, I used to think I was the problem, that I needed to shrink myself to fit into the world she wanted. I remember standing in the hallway watching her kiss Dexter after he came home from work, the way she lit up, laughed in a way I never made her laugh. I remember thinking, if I'm quiet enough, maybe I won't get in the way. Good daughters don't cause scenes. Good daughters are grateful. Good daughters don't ask why their birthdays go uncelebrated, or why the family photo wall doesn't have a single picture of them. Past kindergarten, I learned to be silent. I perfected it. Now I was lying in a hospital bed, the bruises already blooming along my ribs, the bandage tight around my leg, a dull throb behind my eyes. A nurse came in and read off the damage like it was a grocery list: broken fibula, 3 cracked ribs, mild concussion. She looked at me with soft eyes. "We can report this if you'd like. There's support available." I didn't answer right away, because the last time I said thing when I was 17, and Dexter grabbed my arm too hard in the garage and left a mark. I told a counselor. That counselor called my mother. Vera marched into the school the next day, crying and outraged, insisting I was just trying to ruin her marriage. Said I was dramatic, troubled, needed attention. They believed her. So this time, I just nodded and said, "No, thank you." It was almost dawn when the room emptied out again, just me and the distant beep of monitors. I stared at the ceiling, blank white, like a canvas with nothing worth painting. The ache in my bones wasn't just physical. It was ancestral. It was the pain of women being told to endure, to hush, to take it and not make waves. And it hit me: if I left this hospital and went back to silence, back to pretending, back to being the grateful daughter, then I'd be laying in that hallway again someday, or worse, I wouldn't be if I walk out of here again with nothing but silence. I'll never walk out again, not truly. I reached for my phone, my hands shook as I opened my contacts. I scrolled down Vera. I hovered over the name for just a second, then I hit delete, and it felt like freedom. I sat at the kitchen table, the same one I'd bought secondhand from a moving sale the year I got promoted. It was a little wobbly on one leg, but I'd always liked the imperfection. That morning, the sunlight poured in through the blinds, just enough to catch the dust motes in the air, swirling like snowflakes. I'd never get to hold my right leg rested on a chair wrapped in a thick white cast. The Velcro strap had started irritating my skin, but I hadn't bothered to adjust it. A half-open cereal box sat in front of me. I tried tearing the flap with one hand. It ripped unevenly the bag inside, spilling a few pieces onto the counter. They bounced and rolled to the floor unbothered. I stared at them for a while. I knew I wouldn't be able to bend down to pick them up. The silence in the apartment was heavy, broken only by the tick-tick of the wall clock I'd hung 2 years ago in a fit of optimism, thinking a few decorative changes would make this place feel more like a home. But a clock doesn't change the atmosphere, not when the people who raised you never taught you what home really means. I pulled my phone closer and scrolled through the gallery.